nung prangkisa na ibibigay sa sa ABS-CBN. Tapos na yung termino nila. Negosyo dapat hihinto. Ngayon, ang urgency ba niyan ay dahil kailangan malaman ng ating mga kababayan ang nangyayari sa ating bansa? My God! The nooks and corners of this republic is rich, not by television but by radio. Our people know what's going on all over the country because of radio. More than ABS, CBN, and GMA7, or PDP, or the government station, or all the other TV stations.
We'll catch the end of the session timetable, which is June 3, the last day of session. So with that, Mr. President, with the kind indulgence again of the members, I would like to pursue the hearing proper. I would like to request the resource person to give us their opinion. We will start with the special request of the Senate President. The Senate President made a special request to invite former Senator Juan Ponce Enrile and Father Ranilio Aquino to join us today and to participate in our discussion. With that, we will recognize Senator Juan Ponce Enrile for his discussions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, thank you for inviting me in this discussion. Now, my position is the franchise of ABS-CBN is a law. And that law describes the privileges, the businesses, the activities, and the powers that the franchisee can exercise. And that law also circumscribes or establishes the limiting date when the privilege can be exercised by the grantee. In the case of ABS-CBN, the law says your privilege to engage in the business of mass media broadcasting will end on May 4, 2020, period. It cannot go beyond that, and everything must stop. Congress must exercise the power of legislation either to terminate it really as it has been terminated by the law itself or extend it. No other power in our government has the right to extend it a minute or a second. The law must be obeyed, the Constitution must be enforced against anybody in this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Now, as far as provisional authority being given, I have my own doubts whether Congress can do that. Because if you read the Constitution, there is a 50-year limitation on the period of franchises. If you grant an extension, how are you going to treat that extension with respect to the period established by the Constitution with regard to the length of any franchisor? In fact, ABS-CBN has been the oldest broadcast medium in the country. It started with Alto Broadcasting Station, which was given to Tony Quirino during the time of President Quirino. Then it was taken over by the Lopezes. And the Lopezes had the Chronicle Broadcasting Network. That is why you have ABS-CBN. More than these three stations have been more than 50 years. They've been extended now and then. Now it expired again, and it's being being extended. It's up to Congress to extend it or not. And that is why we are in this very complex situation. And it is complicated by the fact that there is a pending case in the Supreme Court, which I think must be considered by Congress in acting on this, because although we have the principle of separation of powers between the three departments of government, the Constitution also requires that they must be coordinated so that they will not clash. And I think it's a matter of respect for the Supreme Court, for Congress to recognize that there's a pending case which must be decided first, because if the Supreme Court will decide the case before it adversely to ABS-CBN, what will happen to the legislative action of Congress granting a new franchise to ABS-CBN? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Juan Ponce Enrile. Senator, you mentioned earlier that you have doubts on this provisional franchise. Can you elaborate further on those doubts?
There must be a certain degree of permanence of any legislative action. It cannot be ad hoc. You are not a delegated power like NTC that you can exercise quasi-judicial power or quasi-legislative power through rule-making power that Congress delegates to you. Congress must enact a law, and that law must be complete in every respect. Well, if Congress can grant a temporary franchise, what is the impelling or compelling reason for Congress not to grant a permanent franchise with a reasonable period of 25 years? Why don't you, if you think that there is a national emergency, why don't you ask President Duterte to certify the bill so that you can shorten the period of deliberations?
Mr. Chairman, for former Senate President Enrile, it is your opinion, sir, that a provisional franchise may not be compliant with the provision of the Constitution on Congress having the power to grant legislative franchise. What if, because there's existing jurisprudence that the Senate, once it is transmitted to us, meaning the legislative franchise, we can even amend the House version or the House bill in its entirety. So what if they transmit to us House Bill 6732, granting a temporary or provisional franchise to ABS-CBN, and yet the Senate has decided, as a body, has decided to amend the provisional franchise to make it as a full-time 25-year legislative franchise. I think it can be done, Mr. Senate President. And I would like to get your opinion if that is legally feasible or possible, Mr. Senate President. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Lacson. When the bill passes the House of Representatives and it gets into the jurisdiction of the Senate can overturn it. It can do anything it wants about it. You can extend that for 5 months or one year period to 50 years. You just comply with the 50-year limitation of the Constitution, and it will be constitutional. You can amend it, alter it, substitute a new bill. That is your power. The power of origination belongs to the House. Once it releases that the bill from there, it loses control and it goes into the hands of the Senate. Then you can do anything with that bill, and whatever is the difference between the House version And the Senate version will be tackled in a conference committee if you agree. If you don't agree, there's no bill. And this president can veto or approve the bill that will be agreed upon by the two houses. That's
Yes, sir.
that's the principle of separation of powers and the balancing powers between the House and the Senate. One is not over the other.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. What you're saying, sir, is if we agree with the House in granting ABS-CBN a provisional franchise, we could also face constitutional challenge later on. But
You
if
can
we
go.
amend
You can go.
6732 and grant ABS-CBN a permanent legislative franchise, then it's perfectly okay.
Yes, that's perfectly okay.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sure the Supreme Court will sustain that.
Thank you, Senator Juan Ponce Enrile. Senator, what is happening right now, no? And from what I understand in the lower house, is in order for EBS to temporarily operate without relinquishing further discussions on the original franchise, which is the 25-year franchise, they deemed it necessary to just approve a shorter term franchise, hence what they call provisional franchise. This is their idea is to enact a 5-month franchise. This is enough time for them to deliberate. Well, a 5-month franchise is giving them enough time to deliberate the original 25-year franchise. So, in other words, this 5-month franchise is the standing franchise for now. But at the same time, they are also deliberating the original 25-year franchise. How do you reconcile this, Senator Senator Enrile? How do you reconcile there's a 5-month franchise and then the original 25 franchise? How do you reconcile this at the end?
Ang nangyayari sa ating bansa, my God, the nooks and corners of this republic is rich, not by television but by radio. Our people know what's going on all over the country because of radio. More than ABS, CBN, and GMA7, or PDP, or the government station, or all the other TV stations. So the question of communication and information is not an issue. The issue here is we must comply with the Constitution. We must comply with the laws. We must follow the rule of law in the country so that huwag naman parang linalaro yung saligang batas natin. Otherwise, we will become a banana republic. What is the urgency? Why can you not give a permanent franchise to ABS-CBN right away? Conduct a day and night hearing for to hear their sides and to know the sides of other people, instead of playing with the Constitution, granting temporary franchise. Otherwise, there will be no end to the emasculation of the Constitution.